welcome to Convict Inc. Did I get this on? Yes. I'm your host, Robert Rosso. If you have not subscribed to this channel, please do so. If you like this video, please push like, push it anyway. Share it with your friends, family, neighbors, enemies, etc. MobTube, fanboys, whoever, YouTube channelers, whatever, content creators. The Mexican Mafia, born out of the California Department of Corrections, like every other good gang, ultimately ends up in the federal prison system. People have asked me who I thought the most dangerous prison gang is in the United States. I would say the Mexican Mafia or the Emmy. The Emmy. So everybody from California always gets mad when I say Emmy, but okay, so the Emmy. I did California state time. They really weren't relevant in my life at that time. I was locked down when I got to California in Chino Central for 7 months, and then I ended up at CIM. So that's a minimum level 1, 2 yard, whatever at the time. And I can't say that there was a powerful presence that influenced the life of me, or I don't recall being around in any black hand at that time. And I'm probably all locked up at Pelican, whatever, that's irrelevant here. I go to federal prison 1998. Shortly thereafter, I meet Negro, which was the shot caller for the Mexican Mafia at Leavenworth during that time. There was a short period of time where I celled with him. I've done videos about him. He is since deceased. We were friends, then we weren't. Then he threatened me, and then I stole his drugs, all kinds of stuff. Anyway, so I became friends with Negro. We hung out for a couple years, and a lot of the Sureños that were under him. 2002 into 2002, I ended up going to Lewisburg with 5 other Dirty White Boys, members of the Dirty White Boys at the time. And there, I ended up meeting the guy who led the Mexican Mafia and the Feds. That's a guy by the name of Willie Bobo. Willie and I, after a short period of time, well, actually, it was a couple years before, about 3 years actually, before I was in the block with Willie for a while, and he helped me out during some cancer time when I had some cancer surgery. But anyway, so here's what happens. About 2005, I think they closed down Marion, and there was members of the Mexican Mafia, maybe up to 5 that came to Lewisburg that they sent from Marion. Marion was a control unit. They closed it down, and the guys that they didn't send to ADX, they sent to the USPs. So there was I remember Black Bob was there, Wedo Sherm, I think it was, I believe, Chino, who was a shot caller at Leavenworth after Negro, and a guy by the name of Parrot, or Perico, I think is the correct way. Is it Perico? Or Parrot in Spanish, okay? So here's what happens, and this is in 2005. I worked in laundry for a short period of time, and down in laundry there was a guy who was one of these white guys that claims Indian. Now, this guy wasn't Indian. I believe he was from one of the reservations, Wyoming, Montana, up that way, North Dakota actually. So his name was Donnie. Donnie worked at laundry for a while. The way it worked at laundry was, it was by seniority. When you first came in, you worked in the front. You passed out bags or whatever, but as you got into the back room and were actually doing the laundry, those guys had a huge hustle, and that was doing people's clothes. So for a bag of laundry, so the institution has a laundry for everybody. So you can go down there and turn your laundry in, your clothes get washed, they're mixed up with a bunch of dirty stuff, they come out yellow, and we as laundry separators just took your bag, no folding clothes, threw it in a little cubby hole, people came and got it. For guys that had money or cared about their clothes, they would get contracts from the laundry workers. So the laundry workers that had access to the back, which was access to the washer and dryers back there, would take contracts to do people's clothes. I want to say it was $5 a bag at the time. I believe that's what it was. Somewhere in some of my notes that are this high, I would have that. But a lot of guys had these laundry contracts, Well, Parrot, who was the Mexican Mafia dude, worked out something with Donnie on some contraband, okay? That's what I'll say. I'll watch this. On some contraband. So, oh, screw it, man. Donnie got some dope from the dude, okay? That's 2005. Donnie got some dope from the dude. And here's what happens. Parrott was a regular customer of Donnie. So these guys that have contracts, they can only do so many. So let's just say 10 to 20 customers a month, okay? Because the laundry bosses, the staff, were really particular, saying, hey, you know, you can only do so much laundry. Plus, if you got so many bags and you're doing all this personal laundry, you're not doing your job, right? So they limited the guys to how many contracts they can have. The staff was fully aware of it, fully in support of it, didn't care. Laundry was a big hustle. Guys were making, you know, $200, $300, $500 a month, whatever it was. So Parrott has a contract with Donnie, but ends up giving him some dope, okay? Well, there was a promise, I believe, of some more, but then the well ran dry. I mean, the dope didn't hit for a minute, whatever happened. Well, Parrott, in a leadership role, as one of, let's just say, maybe at the time, 7 Mexican Mafia guys there. I don't know the exact number. I forgot. You know, he's younger. He was, so I wasn't close with one of my brothers, Billy Weston was, but he kind of had a big head, okay? For whatever the reason, he had a big head. And I will say that most of those guys did not, to be honest. But Parrott did. He was young and he was kind of, you know, he was throwing that card around that he's Mafia, Mexican Mafia. So for whatever reason, he just decides that he doesn't have to pay Donnie. So Donnie one day, being the dope fiend that he was, and I'm not going to say anything because I've had my issues with dope in prison too. That time I didn't, but he was on the hunt for some money, you know. They do this laundry hustle so they can get money. A lot of the guys have drug habits, so they're dependent on that money. Well, Parrott decides he's not going to pay him because he gave him this dope and said he'd give him some later, whatever. Well, Donnie wasn't happy about that, and he messed up and told Parrott that if he didn't pay him, that he was going to have to cancel his contract. Big mistake on Donnie. Now, Mexican Mafia, one of the things they're known for when they go do hits or have somebody hit or hurt, and hit is an assault. Doesn't mean death. It can, but it usually when somebody says a hit in federal prison, typically it's an assault. So if I took a contract, if somebody for somebody with the Dirty White Boys, we're going to hit somebody, we're not talking about murders, okay? But when the Mexican Mafia goes in to hit somebody, they usually try to do it extreme and to make an example, you know? And on the yard at the time, you had tons of Sureños, Southsiders. Used to be Southsiders rather Southern California, now they're spread out all over the country, which also makes the Mexican Mafia one of the more dangerous prison gangs, because if they were organized and actually had, they're organized in some aspects, but if they actually had reps in each state, because there's Sureños in each state, I mean, it would even be more off the chain than it is now. But here's what happens. There was a guy, a Sureño, oh my God, I can't believe I guess the name's not important. But was it Charlie Brown? No, not Charlie Brown. Anyway, it's not important. Damn, but I knew the name. The 2 guys that were involved. And like I said, this was public record in prison. So, you know, everybody knows, so I wouldn't care about putting out the names. And I just drew a blank, man. So what happens is Parrott has Donnie hit. So what happens is there's a hallway downstairs at Lewisburg. So you got the hallway upstairs, and then when you go downstairs, you got the laundry and the gym and stuff like that. So Donnie's coming up. He's got a whole bunch of bags on him, all clean clothes, walking up the stairs, and here they come. Man, they hit this dude. They didn't use knives, and I think they did 3 instead of 2. Matter of fact, I think it was 3 Sureños instead of 2. It's usually 2. Usually you want to do, if you do gang stuff, it's usually 2-on-1, unless somebody can fight or unless it's usually 2-on-1, okay? They beat this dude so bad that, I mean, he didn't even look human after it. I mean, he was so messed up. But that was all over him asking the dude for money that the guy really did owe him. again, I don't know the particulars they had when it came to the whole drug thing, but this was the hit on this for disrespecting Parrott by asking him for his money was just, it was like overkill, you know. But the Serenos involved, they did like 30 days in the hole or something, and they got out. Nothing ever happened. Donnie got transferred, and this is just a short story. And the reason I even brought this up is because I was watching something and they talked about the Mexican Mafia doing hits with extreme violence to prove a point. They say that about a lot of gangs, but I can say that I've witnessed some things that the ME have done, and it's brutal. And this is right up there, because I mean this dude looked like the Elephant Man, you know, after it was done. Moral of the story: don't get in debt with the Mexican Mafia. Don't ask them for money if they. Moral of the story: if the Mexican Mafia owes you money, don't ask for it. Okay. So anyway, just something to throw out there about the Emmy. And by the way, Willie Bobo got out. Heard he went back in. Anyway, he was the big guy in the feds, and I got to do something about him sooner or later. Have a good day. It is Thursday, and I am going live tonight. And I say that last 2 times, and I didn't. I will be live tonight. Take care.